You want to learn how to ride switch the absolute fastest, easiest, and safest way possible? Well, if so, I'm going to break down exactly why you should learn switch and how to do it. So let's get started. Learning switch can be one of the most challenging / fun / freeing things that you can do. But first, we got to figure out, what is switch? Switch essentially is when you're riding in your non-dominant direction. So for me, I'm a regular footed rider with my left foot forward. If I were to go to my ride in a goofy stance, well, technically that's my non-dominant direction. Therefore, I would be now in my switch stance. And you may be asking, why should I learn how to ride switch? Well, there's three major things that I would say that's pretty convincing. One, let's say that you're riding a pow day and you're over here having some of the sickest turns. Oh my gosh, and my leg gets really tired. Well, guess what? I can literally ride switch and still keep going, have a good time, or anytime I'm fatigued, let's say I'm just riding down the mountain and my leg gets tired. By going switch, I can now free up that leg and allow me just to shred, have more fun, make it to the bottom. Really super good, super important. Reason number two is all of a sudden you expand your ability to have creative freedom. What that means is now if I want to do 180s, I want to be able to spin around and do all sorts of fun little tricks, I now can nearly do almost anything because I can ride switch. That's number two. Now, number three is you are looking for a challenge. Maybe your resort is super mellow. Maybe you're just nervous to go in the park. Whatever reason, there's a fun way to challenge yourself, and that is by riding switch. And then number three is it's just a safety factor. So if I'm trying to cross the run and I'm going this way, well, guess what? I can look uphill. I can see everything that I need to see. So if I can ride switch, guess what? No matter where I go, I want to cross the run, I can face uphill instead of being behind me. So being able to learn switch has so many functional benefits to it that most people don't even consider. And today's video is actually sponsored by Insta360 X4. And as you've seen, this entire switch video has filmed on this camera that automatically removes the selfie stick. And you might be wondering, how the heck am I getting such awesome audio? Well, I'm actually using the Insta360 X4 with a wireless microphone. That way I can get the absolute cleanest audio so that you can understand what I'm saying. But a couple of reasons why I absolutely love this camera. One, it's a 360 camera. This thing will film everything at all times, so I can get this pole to be invisible, or I can go film in front of me, behind me, so that when I'm creating this video for you, I can literally get some really creative, cool shots. Or I'm just capturing everything so I don't miss the moment. Secondly, what I love about this camera is they have like a bigger, thicker battery. So when you have a bigger battery, it's going to be able to handle the cold weather a lot easier. Plus, it's going to last longer. So you get a win-win, especially when you're skiing, snowboarding in the cold weather. You need a battery that will actually last. And then my other favorite thing, they have significantly upgraded the sensor in this camera. So the quality is now 8K. So you have an 8K sensor that is helping you get the quality of the 360-degree video, so that when I'm exporting it to Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, it's a high quality shot. Because really, no one wants a low quality shot that's fuzzy, blurry, and not awesome. But when you use the X4, you're getting a high quality, crisp shot. So if you're interested in picking up a Insta360 X4 to share your experience with your friends or the world, or just remember a sick trip that you had, well, check out the link in the description, because you're going to get a free selfie stick, a snow bundle, and an incredible camera. So go ahead and check out that camera. Now let's get back to riding switch. Yes, you're going back to the basics, but you're not 100% starting over, because you understand what it's like to go down the fall line. You know what the edges are, so you already have a competitive advantage learning switch. Now I'm going to break this down and do 4 easy steps to make this as easy as possible for you. And you can even practice this at home. You can do this on the side of the mountain, whatever it is. You can do this very first step, like literally right now. So we're going to pull over to the side. Notice that I'm in a really good area. It's really flat. I'm out of the way. People can see me from above. So I would argue, pretty good place. Now, I'm a massive fan of doing like a mirror movement, meaning I like to do things my dominant direction first, and then I'm going to try to kinesthetically mimic that same thing. And kinesthetically just means I'm trying to feel the same feelings, whether it's switch or regular. So let's just start off with our body facing uphill, and we're going to lock our toe edge in just like this. Now, when I'm here, I like to be in this really smooth, nice, strong stance. And this is what you should be using on your regular riding. And then we're going to apply it to our switch. So if you need to use this first and go back and do your regular turns, totally, and then go to your other turns. So ideally, we're in this stance where my lead shoulder is pointing in the direction I'm going. I have my weight about 60% on my lead foot. So I'm just adding a little bit of pressure, and my belly button is no longer centered in the board. It's just a little forward. And then notice how I have my knees bent. I do have weight over the toes here because I am on my toe side edge. When I'm doing a toe side turn, ideally I'm doing this concept called knee steering. Follow along. I'm trying to press my shin to the front of my boot as if there's a bug on my ankle strap. Now it looks like this. I'm just trying to pressure that shin to the front of the boot. Notice that my shoulder's pointing in the direction I'm going, my hip is stacked, and I'm in this nice, beautiful position. What I am not doing is I'm not here. So if I'm lead shoulder pointed this way, I'm going to move the camera, lead shoulder pointing that way. Now I'm trying to press on that shin. It's a lot harder because I don't have my weight over that. So I want to make sure my shoulder, hip, and body's all over the lead one. Okay, cool. Now you get it. Let's go to switch. We're just going to essentially do the same thing. We're going to practice that same thing. I got my lead shoulder pointing where I'm going, my knee pressing to the front of the boot, and I have 60% of my weight on my lead foot. That's for my toe side. Now, we're going to use this in the next couple steps. So practice this 10, 20 times, as much as you need to feel your sock squish against the front of the boot. Do that as much as you need. Then let's do our heel side edge. Now, this might feel a little weird, but I like to stay on my toe side edge for now. And I'm going to practice my heel side turn from this position, okay? Woo! Let's go, snowboarder! From this position, I want to have 60% of my weight over my lead foot, so my belly button is still in that same position. But instead of squishing the bug, I'm actually going to take my femur, and I'm going to use like just my hand so you can see it. So my femur is actually going to rotate like this. Notice that it's not just my shoulder. Notice that I'm not pressing my shin down or back. I'm rather rotating my femur so that this whole thing moves like this. The reason I like starting on my toe side edge is because this is how I would normally start for a heel side turn. And then I can start to practice and do that knee steer, okay? Obviously, we want to do this for our dominant direction. Feel that. And now let's go to our not so dominant direction. I'm going to get 60% of the weight over the lead foot. I'm going to make sure my shoulder's going in the direction I want to go. I got that femur to start to feel that twist in the board. One thing that you are searching for in the feeling category is that as I rotate my knee and open it, I should start to feel tension through my leg, tension through my boot, whereas if my boot is trying to pivot, if that makes sense. So we're going to be able to actually translate that to snow, and we really want to feel those feelings both on the toe side by squishing the boot and on our heel side turn by feeling that knee rotating and that boot pivoting. Does that make sense? Now, step number 2, if you want to go straight to the switch turns, by all means, but I'm going to practice this in my dominant direction so I can feel it, and then I'm going to try to mimic that and apply it to the other direction, my non-dominant / switch. So first I'm going to traverse, meaning I'm going to go across the hill. But as we go across the hill, I'm going to try to implement knee steering and just get into a little bit of a skid. So I'm going to point the board, I'm going to rotate the knee, and I'm going to skid. Okay, that made sense. That feels pretty good. I'm actually going to stay on my heel side edge, look uphill, make sure no one's around, and I'm going to do the same thing, switch, so I can feel it, make it connect. So we're going to go across and okay, my board pivoted, knee, weight, pivoted. Okay, and it's not necessarily getting our back foot to kick out. It's stemming from the lead foot. The difference is this. My back foot, notice that it's just my back foot, but rather if I'm doing it correctly, I should be able to feel the actual board turn. Has more of a shape to it, more of a turn to it, if that makes sense. So that's going to be for our heel side. For our toe side turn, what we're going to do is a traverse, which means we're going across the hill, looking uphill, choosing a good place. Then, as I am traversing, I'm pressing my shin against the front of the boot, trying to get that board to pivot. Now, it's not just that back foot going down, it's rather getting that knee to press the front of the boot. But guess what? Now we're going to go switch. I'm going to stay facing uphill. I'm just going to go back the way I came, and I'm going to feel that movement, okay? Boom. Feel that? Okay, that feels better. Now, one of the reasons why I love the traverse, because at any point I pick up a lot of speed, I can either get into that skid or I can turn uphill. And that's where progressing fast and safely really comes into play. Pretty cool, right? Step number 3 is a J turn, and you can go on your heel side or your toe side first. For me, I like the toe side. So our goal is to go from this position. I'm going to gently get my lead foot to go down the hill, down the hill, down the hill. And then I'm going to squish that bug. Oh, and then I'm going to stop. Okay, notice that I'm in a really good area that is beginner friendly. No one's here. Plus the terrain is not that steep. So if I point that board down the hill, notice that I'm not going crazy fast. I have time to process, and then I can squish that bug, come to a stop. Gives me time to learn this step safely. I did it in my dominant direction, so I can feel that. Okay, what did I feel? Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Start with my board across the fall line. Point that board down the hill. Point it down, 60% of my weight over my lead foot. And then I'm going to squish that bug, squish, 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 and then even out. Okay? If you ever find yourself like spinning out of control, let me show you real quick. If you're doing this, you have 60% of your weight over your lead foot. You stay there and you stay there. Guess what? All of a sudden, I do like this spinning maneuver. The reason is because you're not evening the weight out. So it should look like this. I'm pointing to my board, 60%. As I get to across the fall line, I'm going to even out. And by evening out, I'm not going to spin. Pretty cool, right? Now to continue step number 3, let's go to our heel side edge. You can start either facing uphill, downhill, but for this example, I'm going to start here. I'm going to point my board down the fall line. Okay, point the board. Then I'm going to do a little bit of knee steering. Boom, to my heel side. Okay, felt pretty good. Feels pretty easy. Let me do that. Switch. Point my board down the hill after I look around, getting a little busy. Point my board. Knee steer, turn the board, even out. Okay, feels pretty good. Another bonus tip to this drill would be point your board downhill, pick up a little bit of speed, come to a slow. Point my board down the hill, come to a slow. What this is going to do is train your body to trust you so that you can literally stop if you need to. One of the biggest, scariest things about switch is, how the heck do I stop? How do I stay in control? Literally do that. Or I could do the same thing on my toe side edge, but I will be facing uphill. So I could point the board, slow down, point my board downhill. Okay, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of speed, lean into the turn, knee steer, even out, boom. I've literally just gotten so comfortable and confident because I followed those steps. Now, let's take another run. Now we're back up to the top and we're gonna start working on our C-turn. So C-turn essentially means we're starting on one edge, making that definitive turn and stopping on the other edge. Where last time we were starting on one, ending on one, this time our goal is to go to the new edge. So the way that I like to accomplish this, again, is do it on my dominant direction, then do it switch. But if you want to skip that, by all means. So on my dominant direction, I'm gonna point my lead shoulder, hip, and knee down the hill. I'm gonna count to 1/1000, and then I'm gonna knee steer and press the knee. But okay, well, I feel like I've kind of already done that. Well, guess what? Now I'm already facing uphill. What if I just did some knee steering to get back to my toe side edge? Well, guess what? I'm gonna point my shoulder, hip, 60%, 1/1000, get that board to rotate. Well, guess what? I literally just did a C-turn, practiced another C-turn, and now that was a literally linked turn. Well, now that we've already done this, let's just go through the step again, but in our non-dominant direction. First, look around, make sure you don't get smoked. Then we're gonna put weight on 60% of our weight on our lead foot. I'm gonna point the shoulder, hip, and knee down the hill, 1/1000, squish the bug, even out. Okay, well, I'm already in a familiar position. I'm here. Okay, now I can point my lead shoulder, hip, and knee down the hill using knee steering method, which is open up. Okay, look. 1/1000, finish, even out. Dude, holy cow. We literally just linked our turn for the first time unintentionally. Now, if you're like, Tommie, that's too quick, totally fine. Isolate your 1 foot at a time and I'll show you. So let's go from heels. I'm gonna point my board down the hill. I'm gonna go with my toes. I can literally stop, do a breakdance move, stand back up. I'm back on my toe. I can go toe side, do the same exact thing. or I can just isolate my heel side edge like this. I'm gonna start here. Or actually, I'm gonna start, yeah, we're starting on my toe side edge this time. Now I can go heel side, point down the hill, 1/1000, turn, come to a stop, do a breakdance move, stand up, do the same thing. So you definitely have those options. Now the next step is to actually link our turns, but we're not gonna pause in between each turn, but rather traverse, slide, keep a little bit of momentum, and learn how to connect them. So on my normal direction, I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna point my board down the hill. I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna slow down, slow down, slow down. But notice I can traverse, turn a little bit, then I go to the next one. Okay, cool. I can link those slowly. Now let's do it, switch. I'm on my heel side edge. I'm gonna point that board down the hill. I'm gonna slow down, keep a little bit of momentum, then look, turn, knee, look where I'm going, boom. All of a sudden, I'm starting to do those C turns with a little bit of momentum in between. Now the next step in this progression would be linking those turns with no pause in between, just like this. I got a toe side skidded turn, great. I'm gonna flatten out. I'm gonna do another heel side turn. Look how mellow this is. I can go across the hill, look around, turn, turn, and notice that I'm doing wide turns and I'm traversing, and as I traverse, I can change edges. This makes learning those link turns easy because the goal is to be able to have enough bandwidth to process what I'm doing, and by using the tactic of smooth, wide turns, I can control that. I can look uphill, I can traverse, and go here. Now, as a safety asterisk, just be aware of making big turns or taking up a lot of space. So there's a guy behind me. I could theoretically have gone really wide, not as I cut him off because I have the right of way, but I can't trust the fact that he can stop or he knows what he's doing. So I just want to be aware of my surroundings. And then the last step of this progression, and probably the most challenging out of this entire video, is getting mileage. Mileage simply means practicing as much as possible. I want to make those turns and I want to try to change them up. I might make really wide turns, and then I can make really small turns like I'm doing here, all switch. But the more you can ride switch, the better you're going to be. The more experience you can get, the faster you're going to progress. So I definitely recommend doing 1, 2, 3 runs your normal direction, getting warmed up. After that, spend a full run doing it. Then spend 5 runs doing it. Then spend a whole day doing it. The more you learn it, the more you're going to benefit from it. And the faster you progress, the more fun it's going to be. But that does take time and repetition. Plus, it's also fun because if you love a challenge or you're riding with friends that are not as strong of a rider than you can ride switch and still be at the same pace. So if you're digging this style of content and breakdown, let me know. I am messing around with slowing down, working on my speech, being more calm. So if you like that, comment down below if that is easier for you to follow along, comprehend. I still want to be excited and stoked on stuff, but I want to slow down so that you can benefit the most out of this video, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to make you an amazing snowboarder. So on that note, follow, like, subscribe, share with a friend, and if you want to pick up any gear, it's going to be linked in the bio.